Hello, hey, hi, social media family being a whatsoever racist, but then not necessarily being a whatever walks of life, factions of society, or lifestyle preferences. I mean, you have got to recognize and realize people, places, and things. Being at the wrong place at the wrong time in the wrong crowd can or could possibly have some or such rather serious consequences or severe ones, or whatever, how you say that, speaking correct standard English grammar, American dialect, or some such qualities and quantities or not, and a life you save may be your own. So I say to you all, being a whom are in addition of the old young alike, of males and females of both the sexual genders, representing not only the human species, but then nevertheless the global community within this post 911 era of a new millennium of apocalyptic day and age, and where the doomsday clock is now at a couple few minutes to midnight, compared on to how formerly, previously, or prior to then it was at a quarter midnight for these rather biblically prophetic times. But then, how are you all doing? Well, hopefully everyone is doing at least okay, if not better yet, to be said, to be feeling all right. Or not best of all, to be said, to be feeling blessed and stressed, more blessed and stressed, or too blessed to possibly become or be stressed. You and yours, your family and friends, hopefully me and mine, likewise as well, or all the same. Yes, or so I say. You guys speaking the King's English or street slang for that matter. But then disregard any disruption or interruption during the course of this here particular broadcast, being of which I am composing, and then shortly after we'll post. I am quite naturally making reference to or regarding that excuse my language, pardon my French, and I play the part of devil's advocate and less two evils than a prodigal son, somewhat if not altogether. And what's worse two evils is any of the likes of any those being of whom are among themselves, false brethren, of the worst of the worstest, unbelievers and unbelievers, being deceivers who pretend to have become or pretend to be believers in God, as in Christians, aka Protestants, and as they are no more than other likes of the modern day religious Pharisees and our Sadducees, of wolves in sheep's clothing, of snakes in the grass, supposed so-called holier than thou's, other likes who are, you know, uh, in other words, closet devil worshippers, being of whom make up the majority of churchgoers of whatsoever religious denominations, from the pools to the pulpits of members and visitors alike, religious fakes, religious phonies, religious charlatans, religious comedians, religious con artists. But anyway, though, getting back to some of such other, as I think of it with that in my mind's intentions to try to backtrack here, reading no purpose of being, or as I go on following to continue from where and when that my person last left off, so that I can finish up as in complete a form of previous prior lines off, and in the same sense of the word, and as I was speaking last upon, do disregard any disruptions or interruptions while I try to compose and post this here particular social media broadcast for this here one particular website address app, that being which I am a account holder of, and where's the disruption and interruptions that could develop and result in some such other ways, I would have to, from there pick up from where I had last left off before I would lose a train of thought. So I was referring to or making reference or regarding any disruption and interruptions coming from a neighbor from hell, dickhead, prick character. I did say, excuse my language, point French, did I not? Or if I did not say some or such as that before, then I say so now. But then if I did so, I repeat myself with, some things are worth repeating. Okay. But then whatsoever I can speak upon, whatever that may be it a one issue at hand, be it a plague upon any given society or not, a controversy or not, for any country or nation to be possibly considered within the global community for this modern day and age that we live in, for these end times or last and evil days. I would speak upon one topic of discussion to be debated, of a conversation of dialogue or argument, with the many different views and opinions affiliated, associated with, and are representing some such thereof. Be able to speak upon a couple, few, or four more for that matter. But then don't kill the messenger. I'm just here to deliver, and hopefully with that much less opportunity or chance to simply say to be playing the part of the devil's advocate. That's too, he's been a prodigal son, and therefore Likewise, well, all the same, let me say and I'll state for the record, then hopefully it would, in addition, to be possibly considered, or whereas I will hope or wish that also there will be less of a chance for me to employ the usages of expletive of profanity, much rather than instead of using much more cuss words, or to simply say, well, whatever I have said. Okay. But then now that I've gotten the preliminaries, the basic introduction out the way, then let me get to speaking upon some of such matters, for whatever that may be I will speak upon one thing or another, or one subject matter, or a couple, few, or four more for that matter, Then you notice the title for this one particular social media broadcast of mine, for this particular website address app that my person am an account holder of, and all I really wanted to do was just come back to my pad, and possibly call it a night as well as a day, because it's cold as damn hell out there in the streets, with the mad scientists constantly throwing a monkey wrench in Mother Nature's program, upsetting the ecological balances of the planet Earth with this big blue marble in space, But then, that's another topic of discussion. But if anything, I want you to, focus your attentions, you all, be you my social media family or visitors to my own personal chat room for this particular social media website address app, regardless of whether or not you were to subscribe. Is that what I meant to say? No, hopefully you would after the third time of paying a visit to it, because I don't cater to freeloaders, being some such as the most despised, especially if they come off like internet trolls in the negative and attempt to diss me, and where it's I would reserve the right, or as any other account holder for this particular social media website address app, as well as any others of this competition, I reserve the rights and privileges to not only silence one's chat, but to block one from my own personal chat room. And very few people or person that I do think of it with my intention to do just that, to let them know as I would send a message, you're not welcome here. Very few would I let back into my personal chat room compared to how the majority or most I would block altogether. All right. But anyway, though, I would like you all to focus, getting back to some and such other once again. So far, the title of this one particular social media post of mine for this website address app that I'm an account holder of, and whereas I was speaking upon was like I say, as I discussed these matters, for example, been a one, whereas I could speak upon something else, in addition, that all depends. But I want you to focus your attentions upon the title for this one particular social media post of mine for the present given moment in time for this website address app. And whereas I'm making reference to how certain characters out in the street of riff-raff, or the rank and file of the criminal element, being of whatsoever races, and likewise of whatever walks of life, factions, or society, or lifestyle preferences, was it's bad enough to have to put up with anybody coming off like a crank caller, harassing another person over the phone, be one know that person or not, be one related to a person or not. And then some of them be moonlighting as stalkers, only to find out here it is. You have these spooks that sit by the door, or spooks, criminals, or those are riff-raff characters of the criminal element that be scoping other people, other persons, of their fellow man, of American citizens and or foreigners alike, at a distance before they were to initiate the second stage development of stalking another person. And then, last but not least, the third being which is to vamp upon another person, particularly or specifically and or especially if they are of the likes of their prey, of targets of attentions, being women and children of whatsoever races and whatever walks of life, factions of society, or lifestyle preferences. And as you know, that there's more than just muggings and robbings going on, whereas not just the worst, but the worstest kind of civil and human rights violation offense of a criminal nature, being of which could be orchestrated and initiated against another person, be one a fellow American citizen or a foreigner for that matter, is that of the hate crime of sexual assault or rape, being of which only gets to the point that is what I have labeled or titled this particular social media broadcast of mine, being which I'm about to speak on now in great details. As I'm coming back to my pad to, like I said, possibly call it a night as well as a day, and whereas there are two doors to the building, front and back, you have to get into either one before you can go to your apartment and unlock the door to your pad, your place of residence, to return to some or such. But first you have to get into the building to begin with. And like there's two doors downstairs, entrance and exit way, okay? For some such to be possibly considered. Well, both doors can serve as entrances or exits, is what I meant to say. My bad, correction. But anyway, I'm coming in the back way with my bicycle or bike, to simply say, being because it's easier to come through the back way than through the front way for the building here. Though I could enter as well as exit from either of the two doors of both front and back. But then with the way the front door is to the building, you have to get through two doors, see? One door you don't have to unlock, just pull it open. But the door following after that, you have to unlock it, Whereas the back door is just one door, the back door. You don't have to go through two doors to get in the building through the back way of the building. You just unlock the back door and come in. But as I'm thinking to do just that with my man's intentions, after I was riding through the streets using my bicycle or bike to some say as an alternative means of transportation, to supplement that of how I am a card holder for mass transit of public transportation system with all of this many different bus and train routes. But then as I'm coming back to the building and entering in through the back way, it's at that given moment in time, as I open the door and come in, somebody of another male of the same sex rushed in just that quick, right behind me, much taller and bigger than I am. And I was like, wow, next time I know, because I have no idea. I don't know this person, this other male of the same sex, although I think I may have seen him in the building at one time or another. I'm not sure. See, that's the thing. So you don't know who you could be letting in the building. So if you're entering into that is a building where you are a resident or tenant paying monthly rent, utilities, and home phone service fee bills, if you didn't enter in through the front of the building, depending on whether or not your building has a front and back door, but then the majority of buildings do have front and back doors. But, it would be devastating enough, to have to think that you have to be alert coming through the front way of a building. So how much more you would think coming through the back way of some of such. And as I had explained, the different door arrangements for the front and back of this building where I'm presently located at as a resident or tenant, whereas the front way I have to come through two doors. One is already locked, but the following door after that, you would have to unlock it. Whereas the back door, you just have to unlock just one door and come into the building from there. And so as I'm doing just that, somebody, another male of the same sex, pick that given moment as I'm opening the door and going through, he himself catches the door and comes into the building shortly after I myself. Whereas I'm thinking, well, next time I know, but then I had explained these matters to the management downstairs on the first floor, because you don't know who you could be letting into a building. Not that I was intentionally, having a mind to let this other male in, because if I had knew that he was going to pull that crap, I would have backed up, So next time, before I would have come to the building, I'll make sure I have to linger a little before I open the door and make sure nobody wants to pull, some crap like that again with me, because I don't want to be responsible for letting some riff-raff character in the building that could even so much as attempt to mug and rob another person, let alone, not to mention, worse yet, attempt to rape somebody, attempt to rape or sexually assault somebody, especially when it comes to women and children of whatsoever races and of whatever walks of life, factions of society, or lifestyle preferences. Where it's bad enough to have to put up with certain dickhead pricks in the building of characters, otherwise enough as it is, of males of the same sex, more often than not, than their female rival counterparts, like this one dickhead prick, stupid and sick, crazy ass faggoty bastard SOB of a proverbial neighbor from hell, than of whom I have for myself at the present, like the last neighbor from hell, the likes of his dickhead prick ass that I have had to deal with at the last building I was at as a resident tenant before I moved to this present one where I'm at now, then to possibly let, some other riff-raff characters into the building of the rank and file of the criminal element, as I suspect that he himself is, and he likewise being the likes of himself, he himself could possibly be, as far as I know, a closet rapist or a closet gay pedophile Catholic priest wannabe, for that matter, as he himself has to be rather homoerotic or faggoty, if not an actual literal closet faggot, then because anytime a male of the same sex focuses so much of his attentions upon another male to attempt to, get another male's attention by any means necessary, and, for whatever reason, be it one assumes one has a personal vendetta, a grudge match with one that's legit, or be one, trying to go about it otherwise, usually a male like that is rather homoerotic or faggoty, at least if not a closet faggot, regardless, be one just be attempting to give another male of the same sex the business, or be acting like one is attempting to flirt with another male, as a faggot would attempt to acquire a new, faggot sexual partner, or homo lover, or faggot bedside companion, or homo bed bunk buddy. www.godhatesfags.com. No, I'm not so much as an advocate of that one particular, ridiculously blasphemous email of the West Bell Baptist Church. Although I do like some or such of his broadcasts, it's not all together, But if God hated anybody, then he could not have given his life upon the cross of Calvary to save the lost souls of humankind. Because God is of love, the devil is about hate. But then getting back to some of such other. So now you all know, because it took me by surprise, And I would like to think that it's been quite a while since the last time that something of a nature like that may have happened, but last time it was for the front door. So that just goes to show that they're getting even more bolder, and it just get me reflecting upon, or as I remember, right here in the Hyde Park area, male characters of riff-raff have pulled that time and time again, and then from there wind up, or end up that is from there had orchestrated and initiated as they perpetrated that of a sexual hate crime against a person of a female representing the opposite sex. And whereas the same kind of hate crime of an intimate, sensual, or sexual nature would happen time and time again for where that my person was at previously or prior to having moved to this one neighborhood community where I'm at now for another one similar to it. And like both incidents were supposed to be a major news headline story, published in all the different newspapers within the continental United States of America, maybe for some such countries or nations worldwide for that matter. I mean, maybe for all the rest of the countries and nations, likewise representing the global community, Whereas there was a woman in hat, and well, did I mention where I'm at now? Sorry about that. There was a woman within I don't want to give any specific details, being because I have more than enough stalkers, you know. But this one neighborhood where I'm at, you know, being one of the much more prosperous, let me just put it like that, one of the much more prosperous neighborhood communities, although not necessarily one of the less crime-ridden ones. But anyway, this one female person of a woman, for her person being as she was herself, a resident or tenant for a building, premises, or properties, real estate for a given public facility, where she was supposed to be in, like, on her headphones or something, you know. I don't know if you all remember this incident, but this was a major news headline story. As I was saying, it was in more than quite a few newspapers, as well as, you know, the news broadcast of that particular sexual assault or rape was broadcasted on the different news channel networks or some of such current events circulations for those particular, you know, big business agencies or organizations that would, you know, inform the general public or the people at large about the different events happening in the world. So she was trying to get into the building while she was listening to headphones. So she wasn't paying attention like she should have been, you know. No, she wasn't. So there was like 2 doors that she would have to go through for the front way. I don't know how were the arrangements would be for the back way of the building where she was living as a resident or tenant, paying annual monthly rent, utilities, and home phone service fees. But she was supposed to be getting into the front way of the building, and there's 2 doors to some and such. And whereas she had to unlock both doors for the front way to the building where she lived. And whereas she unlocked the first door, like, right, and she's on a headphone. And whereas this male character of a rapist, dickhead, prick, SOB, bastard, or the likes of one of the male sexual predator, animal monster characters, was scoping her at a distance, but then he had to pick up the pace, you know. He had to close the gap between he himself and she herself, or between him and her otherwise, you know, something to say. Because he knew that if he didn't catch that first door, then there was no way he was going to get into the building. So for a minute, he played it off like he wasn't, like, you know, really scoping her and so forth. The very minute she's opening up the lock of the door and goes in, he catches the door and gets into the building for the inner corridor. And as she's opening up the second door, then he catches that door and goes in the building right after her. He just, like, a couple few inches and back her, and then that's when he grabs her. And you know what happened from there, you know, to make a long story short, you know, he went for the piece of slice or the pie hole, to put it mildly, with his Oscar Mayer wiener hot dog, ballpark Frank, extra Chipotle sauces. Whether or not he had her suck him off, even so, before and after, who can say? But then, you know, the average dickhead prick male character of a poor excuse of a man being one of those sorry saps or sad male individual persons of characters is not going to first and foremost get a woman or a girl or a female to suck his dick. You know, if anything, he just thinking about first and foremost sticking and stuffing his dick or prick into a woman, a girl, or a female's pussy or pussy hole. Excuse my French, you know. And especially in 2 or a few of the most favorite sexual positions, being that of doggy style and spread eagle style, and what's that other style of some and such? I don't know what they call that one. Whereas one sexual partner will have the other sexual partner lay down flat on one's back, and then from there have the other sexual partner that's below one have one's legs straddled across one's shoulders and be going for something such. But then regardless of that's irrelevant. What I'm trying to say is he had sexually assaulted or raped her, you know, because she was not being alert, you know. And that's really scary to have to think about. And I'm sure nobody wants to be partly responsible for letting some character of a street riffraff of that nature into one's building, and then hear on some news channel station that something foul and funky has happened to one's fellow resident or tenant, especially when it comes down to that a hate crime of sexual assault or rape. So I'm like, motherfucker, why be damn? Why you motherfucker? Because it's this dickhead creeped in. At the very minute I done opened up the back door to the building and coming in, he grabs the door and comes in shortly after, right behind me, within that same, within the same minute. I'm saying, why you motherfucker? You low down, dirty, cocksucking motherfucker. You foul, funky piece of shit. You foul, funky, riff-raff shithead motherfucker. Excuse my language, pardon my French, but that's how I'm feeling from there. I'm like, damn, if I had known, I'm like, what the fuck? I'm like, what the fuck? Ain't this a bitch? Or ain't this a blip? So now you all know, my social media family, that's what happened to me. Most recently, within the last half an hour, as I'm coming back to the building where I live as a resident tenant, when I go through enough of living damn hell, even so out there in the streets, not to mention in a building with a proverbial neighbor from hell, dickhead, prick, faggot, shithead, piece of shit, motherfucker, of a fucking idiot, carrying on with all his usual 2-cent power plays, his daily and nightly extreme and excessive noise-making routine of making different noises of different sorts or types of an extreme and excessive nature, daily and nightly, especially within the evening hours, only to have to become subject to experiencing this shit that has happened most recently with some motherfucker coming in to the building shortly after I unlocked the damn door. Was I seen the cocksucker at the front of the building before then, as I'm riding my bicycle or bike with some other guy or fella, whereas they were supposed to be standing by a ride, the very minute I changed my mind about going to the front way to go in the back way for the building here, this other motherfucker that was with the other cocksucker, he holds the door as I have unlocked it, as I done. Now I sound like someone from the South, as I done. I will wonder, what the hell he gonna do? Are you gonna finish what you was doing? Cause I can't let you. Are you gonna finna go back there and see what your homie is? Like I could say, but I'm about to get into it with him, cause words can lead to fists and so. Cause I appreciate that shit, So this motherfucker, he comes right into the fucking building. He comes right into the effing building right after me, And I wouldn't give a fuck if a motherfucker was black or white. Shit, I'm not opening up no fucking door to let someone in and every Tom, Dick, and Harry shithead piece of shit into the building. I mean, if you got your fucking key, use your own damn fucking key, You know what I'm saying? If I'm not familiar with you being in the building, if you got a key, open up the fucking door and let your own fucking self in, I'm like thinking, Let your own, I'm sorry, I'm doing all this cussing and swearing, you all cussing and swearing like a drunken sailor, but I'm highly pissed behind this shit, Like I said, because I don't want to be responsible for somebody having gotten sexually assaulted or raped, especially when it comes to women and children, because some cocksucker wants to pull some damn faggy ass or fucking dog ass shit of a 2-cent power play and come into the fucking building shortly after I unlocked it, Where I'm like saying, damn, you got a key, don't you? Like, whereas if I had been thinking, I ain't about to get into it with somebody, in a physical way, if I can help it. I mean, I'm dog tired and shit like that. I mean, unless, of course, it's a matter of self-defense, but I'm not saying, well, the different residents or tenants now, you're just going to have to be on alert, But one thing I can do is let the management know, the management as a landlord, there's some fucking cocksucker coming to the fucking building shortly after I had unlocked the back door to the building to get in here with my bicycle to go to my apartment of a place of residence. Like I said, that much I do know. I can let the fucking management, landlord know so that if push comes to shove, they have to put out a special bulletin, that is print up some paperwork and post it on the different doors from the inside and say, do not let anybody into the building that you don't know. Everybody must ring the bell to the building. If you're coming to visit, if you're a visitor, that is, and if you're a resident, you have to have whosoever that's coming to visit you to ring the bell. If you are a resident, a tenant, all the same, if you have your key, you are the only one that's supposed to be in the building, and any visitors, they can only get in with your permission if they related to you or some friends of your family. Otherwise, do not under any circumstances let anybody that you don't know into the building, because that would defeat the reason or purpose for the different realtors or managements or landlords of the many different buildings to have residents or tenants that they collect rent money from, because if a building becomes a liability onto them, if it becomes one that is known where muggings and robbings and killings and rapes and drug pushing and dope dealing and all kinds of foul, funky, criminal shit be happening, then, what can I say? The average landlord, he would lose tenants from there, lose residents. And, a person be wanting to, as cancel their apartment rental lease and then sign up with another landlord for another place of residence. Not that I would be intentionally letting any and every cocksucker into the fucking building. So I just thought you all should know, social media family, this shit has happened to me within the last half an hour. Like I said, I don't give a fuck if a motherfucker would be black or white, nigga or hunky, German or Jewish, Kraut or kike, green moon marching from outer space in human form. If I don't know you, back the fuck up off me. Don't wait till I open the fucking door to a building for you to creep in right behind me. That's some foul, funky shit. That's some criminal intent shit. That's the mind of a fucking criminal, So next time I know. But then, anyway, though, as I would go about you all, social media family, speaking upon some of such matters, give my own personal views and opinions upon a subject matter, or a topic of discussion to be debated, or for a given argument with many different views and opinions thereof, be I want to speak upon a couple, few, or four more for that matter. And then from there, before then, though, I will give the intro, is what I mean to say, and then speak my mind about this or that, or depending on how I feel or how many different topics of discussions that I wish to debate with y'all. And then last but not least, I will give the closing, of a given matter. If some of such given on time for a given social media broadcast for this particular website address app. But then I'm going to wrap this shit up, right? And sorry about the cussing and swearing that I've been doing. I'm cussing and swearing like a drunken sailor, but I'm highly pissed. And after all the shit I've been through, enough as it is with this one crazy motherfucker of a neighbor from hell, faggot, closet faggot cocksucker, or bitch ass son of a bitch, bastard, with his stupid and sick, crazy motherfucking ass, or crazy MFing ass, to put it like that now, and rephrase that, put it mildly, with his damn stupid and sick effing idiot self, But anyway, though, so now so far as this here matter is concerned, and I wish to, draw it all to a close by just simply saying that is, and if you haven't gotten Christ as your personal Lord and Savior, so I paraphrase it, not quote exactly, and I will hope that you would think to do so now while the blood is still running warm in your veins, by recognizing and realizing what he himself had done or did upon the cross of Calvary on the hill of Golgotha, suffering at the hands of some such Roman soldiers upon the orders of their religious superiors and whatever other superiors. But then nevertheless, whereas he himself had went to the cross of Calvary to become that perfect sacrifice, the only sacrifice for you as well as for me. So that then us being of whatsoever races and whatever walks of life, factions to society, lifestyle preferences, being of the old, young alike, of both two sexual genders, representing not only the human species, but the global community of males and females within this 911 era of a new millennium, apocalyptic day and age, and where the doomsday clock is now at a couple few minutes to midnight, compared on to our former previous prior to the end. It was a quarter midnight for these rather biblically prophetic times. Word to profess some of such faith in him. From there, we will become or be blessed in one regard or another, in more ways than one. First and foremost, with his salvation, being of which is the only means by which any of us can or could possibly hope to enter into the kingdom of heaven, be considered as citizens thereof. Then, second of all, with his deliverance. Well, first, you have got to get his salvation before you can be blessed in any regard. Otherwise, you have nothing coming so far as blessing is concerned. And where's your final destination once you were to leave this world, after going to the great beyond for the hereafter, the afterlife, will be the lake of fire, damn hell, to be assembled with the rest of the unsaved, unbelievers, and non-believers, being of whom had continued to refuse to accept so great a salvation, to be found only in our Lord and Savior Christ, the Messiah, deliverer, as there is no greater salvation than what he himself has to provide, as nobody or nothing can take his place when it comes to that, because he had restored the breach between humankind and God by having given his life so that we can have that of life, so that we could be in the place of eternal peace, much rather than to wind up or end up in the place of torment. But that's all up to you. And because if you do not accept Christ as your personal Lord and Savior, that's where you're going to be, with other unsaved unbelievers and non-believers, to be tortured and terrorized by the devil and the demons forever, compared on to how we as believers in God, as in Christians, aka Protestants, will be across that great divide that separates heaven from hell, among other like-minded believers in God, as in Christians, aka Protestants, and in the company of the presence of God and his angels otherwise. Hey, but then you all take care and be safe, be blessed, not stressed if and when you can or could possibly become or be of some or such a status as that being, if you're not already. And I'll be praying for you at some or such a given moment in time. That all depends, on whether or not I'll be praying for you. That all depends on whether or not you're willing to seriously consider the thought or accept Christ as your own personal Lord and Savior. That's all up to you. I can only introduce to you that of the gospel message at hand, of the knowledge and wisdom thereof, being of which is of extreme importance that you accept him as your personal Lord and Savior. Then wait till you're on your last leg of this journey of life and, risk the chance of not doing so, and then wind up in the lake of fire, damn hell, elsewhere. And people or persons in damn hell do seriously want ice water. Ain't it the truth? And I'll be like, see, you don't want to be you. You shouldn't want to go there with them. Y'all take care and be blessed. Peace.